men and women can feel unsafe, because I think sometimes we think of toxic masculinity as just simply being something that women experience. Men deal with toxic masculinity too, because we share spaces with these men, we have conversations with these men are in our families. And dude, I don't know about you, I don't like putting up with it either.
Hello, beautiful people. How we feeling out there? For those who don't know me, allow me the pleasure of introducing myself. I'm Pat Lee, also known as Cooking with Pat Lee, and this is my bro and good associate, Chad DeShawn. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm the neighborhood good guy. You know how I go.
The neighborhood good guy. Yeah, we'll put that in quotes. You'll see later on, he's not the good guy. He's a good guy, but he's not the good guy. But for the past 5 years or so, you've known me, you've seen me in the kitchen. But what you don't know is that I cook outside the kitchen. So on this show, we're going to show you how we cook in a different way. So what you're going to get is opinions. You're going to get us in our true outspoken form, nothing in between. This is all us, our true selves. I don't know how you feel about this, Chad, but I'm excited to start this new chapter of my life alongside you. And I'm telling them we got some heat in store. We got some real heat definitely. In store.
Yeah, we do. And like you said, man, this is something that I've always wanted to do. Really never had the bandwidth, to get out and try it. But I think the time is now. Timing is right. Social climate is right. And I'm like, why not? Why not me? Why not you? Why not us? Why not now? So like you said, man, I'm just glad to be here. Glad to be in this space.
Happy to have you on board, man. Well, let's jump right into our topic. So we feel that men need to do better. Women deserve better. And there's a lot of good guys out there who are trying, who are doing the right thing. But there's a lot more guys out there who are just lost. And on this episode, and hopefully with more episodes to come, we're going to do what we can to educate you, to inform you, to enlighten you, and hopefully get you to change your minds on a lot of things that you've been used to and grown up to. So on our first topic today, we're going to tackle toxic masculinity, because it's rooted in patriarchy. It's rooted in the upbringing of the family. It's so many things that we can talk about, that we will talk about on this episode in terms of toxic masculinity. But before I get started and kind of like dive in a little bit, just want to ask you, Chad, what would you say your definition of toxic masculinity is?
Man, that's a hard question, man. I don't know. Because I think so many people can, define toxic masculinity based on, what their perspective is, lived experience. But I would say toxic masculinity is anything that prioritizes maleness at the expense of ... Just stop there. And to me, that definition can fit so many situations, so many scenarios. That's why I leave it open-ended and broad. And then, people can fill in their blanks. So for me, toxic masculinity is, it infringes. It infringes. It impedes. It's not a safe space. And it's masculinity for me. It's masculinity that creates those situations and those scenarios where people, men and women, can feel unsafe. Because I think sometimes we think of toxic masculinity as just simply being something that women experience. Men deal with toxic masculinity too, because we share spaces with these men. We have conversations with these men. These men are in our families. And dude, I don't know about you, I don't like putting up with it either. I mean, it's draining. It is draining, and it takes the fun, the joy, it takes the happiness out of so much. And you're just like, bruh, can we please trade you to another family?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
It's infuriating dealing with emotionally stunted men. And that to me is part of the broad definition of what toxic masculinity is. It's the idea of, as I mentioned, being emotionally stunted. It's rooted in unnecessary aggression. And as you mentioned too, it's unsafe. It's unsafe not just for women, it's unsafe for men as well. It's unsafe for women because of the obvious. Women will they'll go online and they'll get harassed in their DMs or their comments. Women will walk down the street and they'll just, simply just minding their business. And a man will try to get their attention. And if they don't give them the attention, They can call them out their name. They'll call them a bitch, or sometimes it'll get worse. They may harass them verbally and physically. It gets like that. On the male side, and I'll speak from personal experiences. As a man, toxic masculinity can be, it's unsafe in ways where it's like the perception of what a man is in this day and age, in this society, is defined by toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. So let's take us for an example. So we're married men. We value our wives. We treat women with respect. We treat them as human beings. Anything you would expect a normal person to do. Right. But that's considered being a simp. That's considered pandering, which in my opinion, it's lazy. Like, it's the laziest way of thinking when it comes to having a conversation about manhood. Because to me, being a man isn't just going to the gym and being macho. To me, being a man requires leadership. It requires taking care of your community. It means taking care of your kids, taking care of your family, taking care of your home. That's what being a man is. It means being a protector, not just of the Black women that you're sleeping with or you're interested in, Black women in general. And this society rewards the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the funny thing is, it rewards people, but it's not rewarding the people that are actually invested in the toxic masculinity bubble. It's actually rewarding people who expose it. So you talk about the Andrew Tates, you talk about to an extent, the Kevin Samuels, the ones who are basically profiting off your misery to let you feel a certain type of way. And they may not even be living that same life themselves. They just know they can sell you on this grift. They can take your money. They can take your views. They can take your time. And you're still stuck in that same bubble of unhappiness. You're still lonely. Women won't talk to you. You haven't got promoted at your job. But for some reason, you taught yourself that this toxic masculinity is benefiting you. And I have to ask you, as a man, like, how does that make you feel to even think that this is the way people think about men? We're not talking about like women, how they feel about men. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just more so on a more broader scale, how do you feel that this is what the perception of men is in today's society?
I mean, me personally, I don't take offense to it because I know I'm not that kind of guy. I didn't grow up around those kinds of men. So when, and this is sometimes what I have to take a step back and understand. That's what privilege looks like. I didn't grow up around these men. I didn't grow up around this mindset. Were they instances where, now that I look back, that they were toxic moments? Yeah, I think you can say that. But I think mostly you can chalk that up to society being a certain way. And instead of the people acting like that, these were the situations and environments that were created by society. And we were simply living in it and living through it. But how does it make me feel personally? First of all, I know that when that word gets used, it's not talking about me. But I also think from the perspective of, let me tune my ear to what's being said so that I can self-examine and understand, are there things that I'm doing, either intentionally or unintentionally, that contribute to that? And then when I hear, others who kind of repeat these talking points, they say these things, it kind of feels to me like, are you really about that life? Or is this just a money making mechanism? Is this something that you're doing simply to make money?
Yeah.
And listen, I know that there are reasons behind how people feel, how they express themselves. But when I start to hear the same language being repeated across different platforms, across, different accounts, and then that same language spills into just everyday discourse, I'm like, yeah, this isn't accidental. This is something that's being proliferated. And when you look at the number of followers that they have, it's resonating. That's the scary part. Kevin Samuels had 1 million followers. He wasn't doing that making cologne and fashion videos. So I think that tells us everything we need to know. That conflict sells, man. That gender war, it sells, and it gets pushed because it is something that grabs people's attention. It allows them to attach their grievances to something that they can now give language. It gives it words. And once you start to do that with people, man, you got them hook, line, and sinker. And then they're following you, they're repeating you, they're evangelizing what you're talking about, and it spreads.
I wanted to share just something that I did a little bit of research on last night, and I'm still doing a deeper dive on this just to kind of get some clarity. But I looked up how much money you can make off of YouTube. This is just in general. So average cost per view. So let's say average cost per 1,000 views. You can make anything from $4 to $12 per 1,000 views. So just imagine like 500,000 views a month. That's within the range of 2,000 to 8,000 a month. And that's solely off of the YouTube platform alone. Now, when you throw in sponsorships, when you throw in ad revenue, when you throw in subscriptions and gifts, you could have creators making as high as like 10,000 or sometimes, depending on the level of views, 6 figures per month. So you're talking about making literal millionaires off of this red pill ideology.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not red pill at all. I despise and detest red pill. However, I can see why somebody would want to do red pill content, even if they don't believe it, because it's an easy cash grab. It's the same thing, as harsh as it is to say, it's the same thing as the content where you would see homeless people being recorded and filmed and given money. It's sympathy. It's something that gravitates towards your emotions. So naturally, if people see somebody giving a homeless person food or money, their first reaction is, oh, they're being kind. Whereas the more logical thinker would be like, you're recording somebody in their natural element. Right. Why are you recording this? Why are you showcasing a homeless person who's just trying to survive? But that audience is usually limited compared to the audience who runs on emotion. And that's the same thing for red pill content. We see red pill content and we're like, this is bullshit. This makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
Like, why are you falling for this? But you have a man who's like, I'm not getting anywhere with the ladies. My life isn't where it should be. I'm not working. I'm not making enough money. I don't have enough education. And you have somebody who's a red pill content creator saying you're doing perfectly fine. It's not your fault. There's no need to take account. You're not the problem. You don't need to take accountability. It's all on women. It's all on them. Exactly. So then you switch your mentality to thinking that. And meanwhile, this person is taking 6 figures a day. Why not? You know what I mean?
No, you touched on something though, because you're giving an excuse. And again, I'm not trying to minimize men who have real issues, because that's the trap. Is I think that we look at some men, and again, I'm arguing counterpoint here. I think that's the trap, that we see men in these situations and we say, oh, they're lost, they're irredeemable. I don't think so. I think that when you have people who are in a vulnerable state, and I do think that despair is a vulnerable state, you got a left and right choice. You can either take on the challenge of saying, listen, I don't like my condition and I'm going to do what's necessary to fix it. But that necessary step can either be a positive step, or it could be a step that can be viewed as not so positive or detrimental. So if you are a man who is not making the kind of money that you want, you don't have the type of relationship that you want, are you going left or are you going right? Are you listening to what women tell you to say, listen, if you want to attract us as a whole, this is what we like. We like flowers. We like, you to open the door. We like you to smell good. Stop wearing them crazy jeans. Like, listen, like the women give you the rule book. It's common sense. Anywhere else in life, men take the easy route, except when we build stuff. And now, my wife brings something in the house and she put this together. I'm like, all right, there gonna be some tools left over, because screws, baby, they put extra stuff in the box. You know what I'm talking about? But we typically will take the instructions and we'll use it. Except when it comes to life, we trip with no map. And the map that we want in the spaces that we want to play, we disregard. And the women give us the map. Listen, why do we listen to a man tell us how to attract a woman? Why not listen to women tell us what's attractive to women?
You know why? I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm on my soapbox. My bad. Let me back.
Now you good. Now you good. You good. So if you think about when men are telling women, when men are telling other men how to get women, they're telling them everything from a primal level. They're telling them everything they need to get to have sex. Let's just call it out. It's not meant to nurture. It's not meant to grow. It's not meant to establish any type of relationship. It's the most primal instinct that a man could possibly have. How many times have we grown up? I'm pretty sure we may not have anybody in our lives now, but the way how we grew up in the 90s and even some in the 2000s, there was so much pressure for young men to have sex. You're talking about Hollywood movies where they were pressured to have sex before they turned, 18, before they graduated high school. You're talking about, just the hood movies that would constantly mention hitting it and all that.
Yeah.
But they never talked about, let's build and establish a relationship. Let's build a business together. Let's get to know each other. All those emotional tasks that would be in a healthy, positive relationship weren't being shown to us when we were younger. Granted, we did have families who, were involved in that. But like you said, it doesn't sell. It doesn't get people's attention. So when you hear a man tell you the most primal of instincts, it's easy work. Well, it's not easy work, but they think it's easy. Now, when a woman is telling you what women want, now you're talking about you have to have a certain level of education, which requires work. You have to have a certain amount of money, which requires effort and accountability. You have to be in a certain mental state, which requires self-reflection. These are things that actually take time for a man to not only figure out. He may not know those things about himself. So if a woman is asking for those things, it means that she's already got it figured out.
Right.
And the one thing that I cannot stand, that I would say is one of my number one pet peeves, is when men call women gold diggers. 9 times out of 10, these women are making more money than you are. They have better educations than you. They're already well established in life. They can pay their whole bills 100% of the way, and they have their own places. They're asking you, they're telling you what they want, not because they want it from you. They're telling you what they want because they want to build something with a man, and they want to be able to have more than what you both have. Not necessarily because they want you to pay their bills. They don't need you to pay their bills. They need you to pay attention. And for the ones like us that were smart and locked in, I can honestly say my life is 100% better because of my wife.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But can they say that? No, they're still stuck in the whole, women need to cook, women need to clean. You know who was cooking and cleaning for the men back in the day? The women who were taken care of, the women who had the bills paid, the women who knew they can come home, the man got everything taken care of, she ain't got to worry about a damn thing. And grandma would be in the kitchen in her muumuu, in a bonnet, making some fried chicken and some collard greens and some Kool-Aid. But you can't even buy her roses. You can't even remember her birthday. Her friends take care of her birthday more than you do. And you're supposed to be the man to take care of that, but you won't. It's common sense. It's simple. As Chad said, women are literally giving you the blueprint. You know what it's like? And I'll segue it back to you. To me, it's like somebody telling you, hey, I have $1 million in this box. All you have to do is open the box. A smart person would be like, cool, easy $1 million, go about my day. But these red pillows would be like, I don't want to open the box. You can't tell me what to do.
You trying to get me to go into the box, to trap me. That's what it sounds like.
some bullshit. Exactly.
You want to put me in the box. Nigga.
By that time, I already took the $1 million and you still arguing over the box. And you ain't getting the box.
Because you want to put me in the box. You want to take my money.
Man, I'll never understand it.
But that's the thing, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. And you touched on something. It's crazy to me that we expect so much out of women. And we call ourselves, and I'm using the term, broadly, alpha, masculine leaders. But the question is, have you really seen what leadership looks like? And leadership is amorphous. It's not one thing. It's many things. It's many things in many different situations. Sometimes leadership looks like, I can tell she's tired. I'm taking the kids to school.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell she's had a long day at work. I'm picking up food. I can tell that she wants to talk about something, but she only wants to get it out. She don't need my help. Leadership is understanding what's needed in the moment and doing what you can as the person who has control over a wide variety of things to make sure that it happens and it happens successfully. And I think that some men have leadership confused with control. Leadership isn't control. Leadership is influence. Because I can get you to go to a destination two different ways. Either I can encourage you to follow me, or I can drag you. One is willing. I have shown you that I'm going in the right direction. So you will say, let me hitch my wagon to what's going on over here, because he is clearly focused. He's focused on what he wants for himself. He's focused on what he wants for his family. He's focused on what he wants for his career. So let me hitch my wagon to where he's going because I see the direction. I feel it. But then other men just kind of want to drag you along. They want to tell you where they're going. But you're like, man, the proof ain't there. The proof ain't in the concept. Mm-hmm. I don't see the work ethic. I don't see the care. I don't see, what it is that you're doing on a day-to-day basis to make you worthy of my time. Hell, some women are like, I don't want to waste a good outfit on you going out with you. Why? Because men have started to see themselves in this light. Like, I exist in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. I'm here to consume, and everything and everybody just serves at the pleasure of me. They think they Donald damn Trump, bruh. Like, everything around them just orbits them. And that's fascinating, but it's also scary because that mentality does not translate anywhere. The minute you step into spaces that don't tolerate and appreciate that, they're not going to always tell you that ain't going to fly. They're just going to ice you out. And the only place that is ever going to exist is in these fringe types of communities online, the chat rooms, the comment sections on YouTube, where you think that the world thinks like you do. Nah, you just a pea in the pie thinking the world is green. And everybody else is looking at you like, bro, you see this? This is nuts. But again, you touched on it. We have to deprogram. And part of that deprogramming starts with some humility. And I'll ask you this. From your perspective and based on your life, when did you first learn what a real man was, what a real man did, how a real man moved through life?
Oh, a good question. I have lots of examples, but I'll say the one that stood out to me the most was just observing my grandfather. So on both sides. So both of my grandfathers were outstanding men, and they were the blueprint for who I am today. So if you think, me as an extraordinary man, they were stronger. They fought in multiple ways to better their families, to better this country. My grandfather, my dad's side, he was a high school professor. So he was all about teaching young Black kids to be better, go to college. He was all about community. My grandfather on my mom's side, he was in the military. So he had that natural discipline. He made sure he was a physical protector. But both of them made sure that they provided for their families. Both of them made sure that the household was taken care of. They made sure that their wives were happy. Keyword, happy.
Happy.
They made sure that their kids were taken care of. It was none of that, oh, well, I'm the man in the house. I get the plate first. Did the kids eat yet? They made sure that was taken care of. If we needed anything for school, there was no hesitation behind it. There was, what do you need? And we got it for you. And that to me was the earliest stages of knowing what a man was about. It was about protection. It was about community. It was about getting shit done. And it was about making sure that the ones around you are taken care of. And to me, and this just goes back to the toxic masculinity conversation, and something that I can honestly admit that I was naive to, but over the last 10 years, I've kind of grown more of a fondness to and an understanding. Because this was the type of life that I was exposed to, anytime I would hear a story about, oh, men ain't shit, men ain't doing the right thing, it's not that I would believe it, but it was hard for me to understand how so many men could be this terrible.
Right.
And the more you hear stories from women, because my wife has told me stories about past dating experiences, the more you hear about stories from women, the more you hear about the stories on social media, the more you kind of understand some of these things that are told in the news, the more you see things that are going on in this political spectrum, your bubble starts to break and you start to realize you're not the standard, you're the exception.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always something that was taught to me by both of my grandfathers that's instilled to me to this day, is that being a man and being a leader is about being proactive, not about reactive, not about being reactive. So just going back to what you were saying before about, oh, your wife may be tired, take the kids. To me, that's being proactive, because you're not waiting for her to say, you know, I need a break, watch the kids. You already know as a man, one, those are your kids. You should take care of them regardless.
You
Two,
made them kids.
You made them kids. There's no such thing as babysitting your kid. You made them kids. You have an equal opportunity to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
So being proactive means, oh, you need to go rest. Go lay down for a bit. I got this. Yeah. Being proactive is, I know the bills are due on the 15th. They're paid on the 12th. Not, oh, well, the rent is 2 months past due.
Bruh,
I need help paying it. Right. You're communicating. You're having conversations and being proactive and making sure that things are getting done. That to me is what being a man is. And just going back to what you were saying about how men refer to themselves as alphas, to me, it's bullshit. Alpha males are simply just a glorified way of saying, I'm an asshole. I have nothing to offer. Complete horseshit.
It's internet horseshit for those who are listening.
And the alphas all have a template. They're posing in the front of the mirror in the gym. They have the most meathead of takes. They don't have anything to add to a conversation. And 99% of them, I don't mind saying it, 99% of them are stupid. Let's just call it what it is.
Baby oil. Protein shakes and baby oil. Get your alpha male set here. Protein shakes, baby oil.
This
podcast mic.
A million followers now. Oh, don't forget the car selfie. That's the biggest fucking irritating. You always see them in the car. They don't have a house. They don't have any type of like exposure to any type of other environment. It's just, I'm in the car. Here's a selfie.
Car.
First status on social media. Do women still
cook? Way to get baby oil. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Now, if we get a baby oil sponsorship, we're going to circle back to this episode.
Shout out to the alpha males who made it possible, baby. Talking about your baby oil.
Baby oil and protein shakes.
Shitting like puppies.
But going back to what you were saying about alpha males, and just kind of wanted to circle back and ask you a question. But you did ask me what was my first exposure to positive manhood. What was your first exposure to a so-called alpha male? And what was it like for you?
Ooh, a so-called alpha male. Man, college. It was college. I mean, you had some idiots in high school, man, but I would say that they really weren't what I would consider alpha males. I mean, they were, it's a bunch of posturing. But I think, when you started to, at least for me, when I went away to school, it was the first time really me being around a diverse group of black men. Mm-hmm. So I grew up, in areas predominantly white elementary, middle, high school. So you saw certain mentalities, but you could always chalk it up to something else. Racism, classism, socioeconomic differences. it didn't compute to me till I got into college, and and not to throw shade on anybody, but from a black kid coming from the South, being exposed to black people from the North, you start to see cultural differences. And that's when I first encountered some of that ideology. Not saying it just came from, specifically people in the North, but I think it was more pronounced. Me hearing some of those things, some of the ways that they saw the world, some of the ways that they treated women. When I got to college, man, I saw women deal with some harsh foolishness, like crazy. And it's wild that we had this episode today because it kind of takes me back. I grew up with a kid. We started elementary school together. So I've known this guy since I was maybe 10. I'm 46 years old now. I got a text from another childhood friend, a guy that I have known since I was 6. Sent me a link. This dude got arrested for a cold case murder. Yeah.
You know what? I can't even be surprised because the stories I can tell you about people from my high school. But yeah,
and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, and I'm gonna try to wrap this into a bow. Being the only, really, I'm gonna be honest, it was me and him. We were the only 2 black kids in our grade level in elementary school. We were the only 2 black boys. We weren't close. It was something about him then that I couldn't put my finger on. I didn't like it. But me as a 10-year-old, kid, you kind of just, me and him don't get along. Yeah. He was aggressive. He was hot-headed. He had a short temper. But me, I'm thinking, I'm just a black kid from the burbs. You know what I'm saying? I ain't with this. I don't know what this looks like. So things that aren't really like me, I don't gravitate towards. I've always had a natural proclivity to push away from it. I knew that the kid had got arrested after I went to college. Actually, he got arrested my senior year of high school because I went away. I went to a different high school. He got arrested senior year of high school for armed robbery. It's around 97. Apparently, this guy committed murder, allegedly, in Missouri in 2000. Just got picked up this week, 26 years later on a cold case. I say that to say this. Looking back on it, he was toxic. I could tell back then the energy that he gave was just toxic. But he presented himself as an alpha. The way he lived, the way he talked about things, he presented himself as an alpha. Even though he didn't put language to it, that aggression that I saw in him is what I started to see in college. And there was more structure, more name to it, to where I was like, okay, this is the same kind of energy, very aggressive, very authoritative, not a broad worldview in any stretch of the imagination. So I think when I put, kind of answer your question, going back to that, I identified what was an alpha way back when, didn't have language for it. In college is when I started to realize it's like, oh, there's some people who are different than what I have encountered. And now I can feel the difference, and I can see where it transacts much differently, because I think I had just kind of gotten nose blind to, being from the South, being around other people like me. But as I got older and I started to see how adult men who grew up to be, business people, somewhat contributors in society, act and behave that way, it's when I'm like, okay, these are the alpha types who see themselves as the center of everything. They talk about women in a way that centers themselves always. And women are just, you're just commodities. Children even. You're just commodities. Like, I own you. I don't really have to listen to you. I tell you what to do, and that's how it's going to be. And I think that, at least for me, growing up, that's where I started to put the pieces together. And 35, 40-year-old me started to look back, and I was like, wow, that's what it looks like in the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what it grows up and it looks like. And kind of like you were saying, I have a lot of stories about a lot of people I grew up with. And the ones that gave me that ick feeling are the ones that grew up and they got similar stories to the guy that I was just talking about.
And it's crazy to think about it, because I have this conversation with my wife almost every single, I wouldn't say every single day, but every now and then. You think about all the people that you grew up with that, you know, simply you were playing ball with them. You would hang out. You would go to their houses. You would have get-togethers. These are people that you saw on a daily basis that you considered friends. And of course, naturally, as time goes on, you progress from them. And it's, you know, anything could happen. You could move. Life changes, things start to change. But then you start to see the vast differences in your life compared to theirs. And I think about all the men that I used to hang out with back when I was in elementary school and I was in high school with, that now support MAGA. And the only reason why I know they support MAGA is because before they got blocked on social media and out of my life, they would showcase these characteristics of MAGA. Mm-hmm. As you said, very self-absorbed, very aggressive, very much everything is a woman's fault. I'm not responsible for anything. Multiple kids with multiple different women. They had like these ideologies planted in their mind that either you ignored them as a kid or you didn't fully grasp it because you weren't really trying to understand that part of the mind. It was just more so, he wants to play basketball, let's play some basketball. Right. But you never see that. You don't really see as much of the aggression. You don't see as much of the angst, the anger, the frustration, because that's not where your mind is. It's similar to, and just, you know, kind of going just a tad off tangent, but I'm going to bring it back. Yeah. So if anybody's watched the America's Next Top Model documentary, people have been talking about how Tyra Banks and the whole entire producing crew manipulated those women. They tricked those women into thinking they were going to be big time models. They gaslit them and they used them. Mm-hmm. Us as kids, we watched those types of shows. We didn't think about the gaslight. We didn't think about the verbal, the physical, the sexual abuse. We didn't think of any of those things. All we thought was we're being entertained. Right. We're having a couple of jokes. We have a whole moment where Tyra was going, I was rooting for you. That was funny back then. Yeah. But when we didn't have, it was taken out of context too. But exactly, we didn't even have language for what we were watching. We didn't have words for it. It was like, oh, we're just watching a TV show. Exactly. And that's how I picture my life as a kid compared to being an adult. You start to see things from a different lens once your mind matures, once you start to grow up and kind of see the real world. And you see all these things that you saw as a kid and you go, man, this person was toxic. This person was terrible. This person really was a harmful, aggressive individual. And I didn't see it. But then you start to pay attention to the signs. Everything starts to make sense. Yeah. Yeah. You touched on something. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been called toxic? Yeah, I can admit that I've been called toxic. I'm not even gonna share what's the situation, the circumstances under which you were called toxic. So I was called toxic for a completely different reason. I dated this girl way back when I was in my early 20s. She was in her late 30s. And she was not right for me at all. When I say she wasn't right for me at all, she cheated multiple times. She basically made me feel less than I was. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. You know, I feel like guys don't really open up that kind of stuff. But yeah, she really made me feel like less than I was. We really weren't compatible. Our relationship was mostly just physical. And I got called toxic because no matter what she did, no matter how she approached me, I would just fall in line. You know, it was the behaviors, it was the the lore of it all that kind of like gravitated me to her. And if you're talking about now, I have self-worth, I have common sense, I have respect for myself, I wouldn't fall for those types of behaviors. But back then, it didn't matter to me. None of that mattered. I didn't care how I treated people. I didn't care how people treated me. As long as we were together, none of that stuff mattered because she empowered me to feel a certain type of way, but it wasn't a good way. And so all the negativity that we kind of brought out of each other made me toxic to family members. It made me prioritize her over them. My family could be like, hey, you want to go out? You want to hang out with the family? No, I'm busy. She would call. Hey, I want to go do something. Get my clothes on. I'm right there. I'd have a job that I had at the time. She came down to my job, and I'll never forget this story because this was actually how we broke up. So my boss at the time, she literally just started working I worked at Chase at the time, and I had a new boss, and real kind lady. Her very first day there, she was shadowing me because I was, one of the head employees there, and I was, one of the star employees there. So she would shadow me and just ask me general questions. She would, ask questions about, am I going to school? Things I was interested in, just to get to know me. And anybody who knows me, and of course you know me now, I like to make people laugh. I like to joke around. Right. So I told a joke, and my boss started laughing. I did not know that my ex was there or even coming there. She didn't tell me she was coming. She didn't say that she was on her way to visit. Not to say I was hot and anything, but that's just tells you how crazy the situation was. She pops up at the job and throws a brick through the glass, comes into the branch talking about why you out here talking to other bitches. And I'm just sitting here like, I'm at work. Fired. I didn't even do nothing. I didn't want to sound like that, but like I really wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And I had to pretend just so I wouldn't get in trouble that I had no idea who this woman was. But I was embarrassed. When I tell you I just wanted to put my head in the sand like a damn ostrich, I was embarrassed. And then I went back home after, and mind you, this was like the start of my workday. I had to deal with this for like 6 whole hours and just have the back of my mind, what the fuck just happened? So then I get home and she's like, you want to go out for dinner later? And I'm just like, you threw a fucking brick at my job.
I'm gone.
We're done. But you know what's funny?
This episode up.
What? Put the baby oil in the box.
Put the baby oil in the box and put the label on it. We're done here.
But you know what's funny? And this goes back to the toxicity. I didn't break up with her. We still stayed together because I was just that down bad. What actually caused us to break up, and I'll never forget this moment either. I lived with my grandmother at the time because I was still in college. I was still young. I lived with my grandmother at the time. And anybody who knows my grandmother is the sweetest person in the world. Doesn't have a bad thing to say about anybody. She can't even curse. Like, she's that devout of a Christian woman. She will not curse.
Right.
I told her what happened with my ex. She was furious. She said, you need to break up with her. Cool. I had planned to break up with her. She calls my grandmother to speak to me. Yes, disrespectful of my grandmother. When I tell you this was like a coming to Jesus moment that I heard my grandmother curse for the first time, all I knew was I stood by that door. I was like, my grandmother said, if you ever call this fucking house again, I will come to you and I'll beat the black off your ass. And then I said, yeah, we're done. Bye.
Yeah, girl, it's time.
You got to go
wrap this up.
It's one thing to disrespect me, but if you disrespect my grandmother, it's a wrap. And that was it. And I did not hear from her ever again until like a week later. Until a week later, she came by my house. She had some things that she had to pick up. I'm like, cool, all right, whatever. And then she looked at me and she was like, so that's it? And I'm like, yeah, we're not good for each other. You disrespected my grandmother. You almost got me fired. I don't think we should be together anymore.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, cool. So I closed my door. I'm like, all right, well, that's the end of the day. Let me go to sleep, get ready for work the next day. I open my front door. She's in front of the door, sleep. Mind you, This was like 9, 10 o'clock at night that she got her stuff and she left. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm leaving for work and she's out my door asleep.
Wait a second. In the elements.
In the elements.
Like a animal. In front of your house door.
In front of the house door. Not in front of the outside. I live
like
in
an Amazon package.
It's like an Amazon package. Just in plain view. Well, not 4K, because this is back in the 2000s. We talking about maybe like 420p or some shit.
Like 720.
720, yeah, it was that low quality. But she was sleeping in front of the door. And all I remember was stepping over her, pushing the elevator button with the quickness. And I'm like, nah, I can't do this. I woke her up. I said, you got to go. I can't take this anymore. And she's
can you really kick her out in front of your door, though? I mean,
she's not in the house, but she's in the building.
You ain't in the house. You ain't in the house. I mean, you guys had to do.
Technically, yeah. But I told her, nah, we can't do this anymore. And she's like, you sure? I'm like,
we sure? What the hell you mean we? Lady, you done put a brick through. You done put a brick through somebody's window. You done cussed at my grandma. You lucky I ain't pushed you down the elevator shaft.
She would have got back up. Like, that was fun. You want to go to dinner? She was crazy like that. But you know what? After that, we were done. I hadn't seen her after that. And I promised myself that I wouldn't date for a year. I didn't date any women. I didn't talk to any women. I didn't have any interactions in terms of, any experiences. It was just, I'm focusing on myself. I'm making sure that I'm right in the head because I didn't want to get with anybody else and expose them to that side of me. I had to make sure that I healed. I went to therapy, and I had to go to therapy on multiple occasions because, side note, during this time, I got robbed at gunpoint. So I had to deal with that and process that. So on top of like a really crazy breakup and that, it was just a lot going on. But I went to therapy. I healed. I focused on myself, decided to just, not worry about women. And not because I felt like women were toxic or women were bad. I felt that this was an experience that I had to learn from.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to be one of those guys that carried on negativity to the next relationship, especially when you consider the fact that I came from a family who were all about morals and family values and respecting women. I had to focus on myself and I had to better myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I kind of went off on a long story, but I felt like I had to share that because it's just proof that, toxicity doesn't just have to deal with relationships. It affects everybody around you. It affects your mental. It affects your physical. It has to be contained in some way, shape, or form. You have to value yourself before you can value anybody else. And that's a lesson that I instill in my kids today. It's a lesson that I teach other people. If you don't have if you don't have an importance of yourself, no one else is. And because I didn't have that focus on valuing myself, she didn't value me. And she took advantage and I let her.
Man, that is, I think you just illustrated really how wide toxicity can be. Mm-hmm. Because I think, like we started out the episode, we started talking about how toxicity kind of manifests itself. And to be honest, we kind of took it from a toxic masculinity lens that is more focused on the things men do outwardly that impact the things around. But I think you illustrated sometimes toxic masculinity is internal. Mm-hmm. And it manifests itself in how you respond to things, how much you take, what you accept, how you allow the world around you to be influenced negatively. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you and I come together is like, well, what's the opposite of toxic masculinity? You can say it's toxic positivity. Sometimes I think it's just you have to stand up for what it is that is supposed to happen and stand against things that are not supposed to happen and are not, positive. They don't advance us as people. They don't advance, the perception of Black people, relationships, love, marriage, all those things. And I think that as men, you summed it up perfectly. That work starts inside. Who are you? What are you doing? What do you stand for? How are you making people around you better? Are you the type of person that you set standards? Or are you the type of person you just set limits? Are you the type of person that it accepts abuse? Or are you the type of person that says, nah, not on my watch? You're not going to abuse me. You're not going to abuse other people when I'm around. And then we're also going to have the conversation of, I'm going to make sure that you don't abuse anybody else when I'm not around. You and I, like, yeah, on Threads, we cook. You step out of line, we might get at you. But you and I have had this conversation. There's a lot of people, some of them real, some of them bots. That's another subject for another day. That have this really distorted worldview. And it seems like no matter how many people we talk about and expose, 2 or 3 pop up, 4 more pop up, 10 more pop up. And you really look at it and you're like, man, this feels like an insurmountable task that it's like roaches. You kill one, they're 100 behind the wall. And you know they're there. And it's almost daunting to think, I'm not even making a dent in the population that is impacted or affected. But I think part of this discussion is, how do we start a new dialogue between men to say, wait a minute, check that behavior. For every Kevin Samuels out there, we have to understand there's 100 men who don't think like that, who don't believe that, living the life that they want, but they don't talk about how to get it. Because I will admit, I am a comfortable married man.
Same.
I will not go out of my way to share game with you if you give me pushback, because I'm like, why? It's not benefiting me. It's not benefiting me to jump through hoops to help you. If you're not receptive, cool. Bro, I got what you want. And there's a lot of things I don't talk about. I don't talk about what I do for a living. I don't talk about how much money I make. I don't talk about where I live. I don't talk about what I drive. Those things are cool. They cool. But it ain't what drive me, because all that stuff can be gone tomorrow. But if people really, really want to break it down, they want to talk about, listen, man, I feel like I'm a high value man. Okay, well, what gives you that? What gives you that perspective? Well, I make this much and I make this much and I do this and I do this. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, my guy, you ain't scratching the surface. These women got options. And to be frank, with what you're selling and what you peddling, you the drive through right now. Ain't nothing wrong with the drive through. But your proposition got to be something that makes her feel like the drive through is what she needs in this moment. Because I don't care if you're the drive through. I don't care if you're a sit down restaurant. I don't care if you're 5-star. I don't care if you're a food truck. You better bring value to the table. And being a high value man is situational. It's not a tag. It's not something that you cloak yourself in and say, I'm a high value man. Whatever. If you're going to be high value, you have to be situationally high value, meaning that if I'm a man on the rise and like, baby, I only make $40,000 a year, but I'm going to open these doors. I'm going to make sure that you are protected and that you safe. I'm going to give you good conversation. We're going to go on some dates. Baby, I can't afford to take you anywhere but out the ice cream on Friday, but we going. That's okay where you at. But you got to take that stigma out of your mind that you are somehow the prize. You are a prize amongst other prizes. Women are choosing what they want. Men choose what they want. You have to appeal to the right one. But what you have to do is you have to center what that other person is looking for and maximize your own value, man. Maximize your value.
I want to touch up on something that you had mentioned. And before I get to that, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of a point you made about high value men. I think one of the things that gets lost with a lot of men in these conversations is the idea of what high value is. Because to me, high value means that you're providing benefit to somebody else. You can value yourself and feel that you're important. But to me, high value means someone is looking at you and they see that you benefit them in some type of way.
Yeah.
So case in point, like you said, you could make 6 figures. Cool. It could be gone tomorrow. What's your plan for if you don't have those 6 figures? Because I've been in this situation. I'm in this situation now. I was making 6 figures at my last job. My job got sent offshore. My whole department got laid off. I had to have a backup plan. My backup plan was to fully invest in my catering business, fully invest in social media, fully invest in being myself and putting value in myself. And that was something that, I mean, I'm already married, but that's something that my wife values because she knows she's not with somebody who's like, all right, well, you don't have your plan A anymore. You don't have a plan B. I have a plan B. I have a plan C. All the letters of the alphabet. Because something works. It's going to work. We got to make it work. And I'm making it work. But a lot of them think that being high value is material. Because there are plenty of men out there who fit the stereotype of what they feel women want. They're 6 feet, they're athletic, they make good money, and yet they're single. You know why? Because women have all these things for themselves. They're making 6 figures. Being tall, cool. What else can you bring to the table? What can you offer her emotionally that other men can't? Can you carry a conversation? Are you willing to go outside of your bubble of your own walls to travel? Have you experienced the world? Do you know what's out there aside from, your local Chinese food restaurant or the sneaker store? Have you ever been to another country? These are the things that they value.
Do you even want to go?
Yeah, that's the important part, because it's one thing to say you can go to another country because you can afford it. Do you want to go to another country? Do you want to experience life outside of the United States? Do you want to go to a museum? Do you want to go to an exhibit? All these different things that they find valuable. That's what you should be trying to value yourself. But kind of going back to what I was originally going to mention before about high value men and just the topic of toxic masculinity. Do you think that, how can I word this? Do you think that being a high value man is something that could be turned into a positive? Because we've all heard the negative connotations of high value men from what Kevin Samuels and others have kind of expressed over the last decade. But do you think that it's something that we can turn into a positive? And if so, how do we get it there?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I think, first of all, you start with the definition of high value. I think every human on this planet has value. The question is, are you tapping into your value? Mm-hmm. Are you putting what is valuable about you on display? Are you overestimating the parts about you that people find valuable? And I think that in that definition is kind of where the answer to your question lies. I think you can turn that into a positive, but you turn it into a positive by first putting it in humility. You have to bathe that term in humility. I am a high value man, but it's not because I say I am. It's because my wife tells me I am. Mm-hmm. She tells me all of the things about me that makes it damn near impossible to consider another option. Because I remove those options off the table every day. Am I perfect? No. I got issues, bro.
We know.
But I try. I listen. I provide. But in my provision, I don't control. Just because I have the wallet doesn't mean, well, baby, you're going to have to eat this. I'm going to order for you. That lady has a mama and a daddy. She was born with a mouth. She can pick her own food. My job is to make sure that she has the opportunity to order whatever she wants. You said it before. My grandfather was the type, he did everything in the house. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. That's my role. I look at it and say, listen, if I got $100 in my pocket and she want to eat 80, I'm going to do the 20. Why? Because that's what I signed up for. That's what I saw. And it's not because she deserved it either. I do it because I want her to have it. I love her that much that I want her to have the best. So I'm willing to take less to make sure that she has the best. Some men might turn that around and say, well, you simping. That's my wife. I signed up to make sure that if I take her out of her father's home, that I can provide everything that she needs. Emotionally, financially, socially. And in return, what I have found, good women are not consumptive creatures. You pour into them, they're going to pour back out to you twofold.
Mm-hmm.
It's an investment. It's an investment into your relationship. It's an investment into your person. So going back to high value, you change the definition of what high value means by changing the definer of high value. Being 6 foot don't matter unless it's high value to the person that beholds it and says, I need 6 foot. Because that same woman might look at 6 foot and say 6 foot come with too much baggage. 6 foot come with too many red pill issues. It comes with too many expectations. It comes with too much regression that I don't need in my life. So therefore 6 foot don't matter to me no more. I'd rather have 5'11" to check off all them boxes. Women are very, very smart in that regard. Women don't think like men. Women are big picture. They're looking for safety, security. And if you can't provide safety, you can't provide security, all that stuff starts to turn. It goes from, I had a college roommate. He uses this term all the time. It will go from gold to just plain piss yellow. And it's that simple. Like, you think it's a positive until something about that turns for her. And now it becomes the one thing she can't get out of her head. And it's like, nah, you gone. You done for. And that's always stuck with me is just be the person you're supposed to be to the people you're supposed to be that with. And let them define the value in it. Don't go around defining yourself as high value. That term will flip when we stop defining ourselves and start saying, nah, just go make your money, get your house, get your car, get your career. Have a good personality, be a good person. And let the people that you encounter define that and say, he's a high value man. Cool. Call me what you want. I'm just out here trying to do what I do.
You know, we started off this episode just talking about how women are essentially telling you what they want. They're giving you the blueprint. And Chad just basically laid it out for you what a high value man is. They're telling you what they want. We're telling you how to get there. I don't think I can say any more than that. Realistically, we're giving you the tools. It's up to you to take them. It's up to you to say, you know what? Life isn't working out for me the way I thought it was. I'm not getting to where I want to get to on a spiritual level. I'm not getting to where I want to get to on a financial level. I'm just stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we're so anti-red pill, aside from the obvious, is that red pill ideologies don't get you anywhere. Sure, they may fix an emotional feel of life should be better for me, and it will get better for you, but not with red pill ideology. I can name you at least 5 people who subscribe to red pills. None of them are happy. It goes the same, and we'll talk about this on another topic though, but I've always said that red pill ideology and toxic masculinity isn't just rooted in patriarchy, it's rooted in white supremacy. And a lot of their behaviors that they exhibit on a daily basis benefit them. They utilize these platforms to uphold their supremacy, to uphold their dominance, but they still keep you down here. Think about, like we said earlier, think about all the grifters who are making money telling you women don't like you. Think about the grifters who are telling you that it's not your fault, that your life is the way it is. They're making millions of dollars. Are you making that $1 million? You're not. You're not even working. You're struggling out here. Are you out here getting date after date after date? Are you finding that special someone? No. You're in the comments calling women bitches. You're in the comments thirsting over bots. Extra baby oil on that one. That baffles me so much, and I hate to sidetrack, but how do y'all not know that y'all are talking to literal bots? They have the captions, "Oh, I'm so lonely, 45 years old, and I have nobody to talk to." And it looks like literal teenage bots. And you're like, drool emoji. What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
Hey, baby.
But just back to my point though, like you're setting yourself up for failure. And we're going to wrap it up here with just one final question and just one final thought that I'll let Chad answer first, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts on it. With Red Pill ideology, we did talk about how we're trying to reach as much men as possible and help the ones that are listening. For those that actually want to actively listen, how do we, as a podcast and as a duo, not only get them to listen, but also get them to pay it forward? How do we get them to take the information that we have, retain it, and make sure that they're passing it on to the next man, and then they pass it on to the next man, so we actually have more allies on our side, and we're not just, blowing smoke out our ass?
Yeah. I think first of all is I want to couch this and say, this is not an attack on men. Mm-hmm. This is a opportunity for self-reflection. And I think, situations like these are very one way. And it allows them to listen and say, listen, I don't have to perform for anybody. I can take it in and I can do the work quietly behind closed doors. Listen, understand a different perspective, begin to deprogram what it is that I've learned, been taught, grew up around, what have you. Do the work. And then not only share the information, share this video, but share what's being discussed. Because again, the ultimate goal is to make sure that you are your best version of yourself. And as long as you are working towards that and unpacking and dissecting some of the things that you have either believed, been led to believe, come to believe, then that's part of the journey. And it's experiential. It is something that you will encounter and you will reflect, and you'll encounter some more and you'll reflect. So you're going to have to revisit these types of conversations often. But I would say approach it with a sense of humility that you don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers, but we know where we have been and we know from the experiences that we've had. And this is the opportunity not only for us to share what we've experienced, but it's also an opportunity for you to learn from our experiences and to have a different voice speaking on something that you say that you want. And to me, that is the value in this opportunity. And then also sharing this information, because again, this is about growing communally. And I look at this in a very selfish way. I don't want one of these men coming home with my daughter. So if I can help to change the mentality and the perspective of some of these men, ideally, I increase the likelihood of her encountering men that I would find to be, that's a good guy. I like him.
Well said. Well said. Just to kind of give my thoughts on it real quick. As Chad said, this is not meant to bash men. I do believe there's a lot of good men out there. I associate with a lot of good men. I can vouch for Chad. He's a good man. I talk to good men on a daily basis. The issue comes in where you have 5 or 10 good men. There's thousands of men who aren't good. And everybody's definition of good is subjective. But the reality of it is, good to me means you're good at heart. You're not being a nice guy for the attention of women. You're not being a nice guy because it will result in a date. You're being nice because that's a general human characteristic and a trait that you should be showing. So for us to reach a broader line of men and also get them to kind of reflect and to pay it forward, I think it just requires us first having these conversations. Because when you think about the scope of social media, a lot of platforms don't really talk about the stuff that we talk about. You do have the red pill podcasters. You do have the podcast that, they tell the jokes, they tell the stories, but the perspective that we're giving isn't really as out there as we think it should be. Right. And if there are other podcasts out there that are exposing the red pill ideology and kind of trying to do the same thing that we're doing, cool. We're looking to network with y'all. We're looking to grow and we're looking to build and expand our voices and make a mutually beneficial partnership. But for us to do that, we have to be comfortable in having these conversations, not just privately, publicly too. We have to continue to call out the men who are more than willing to embarrass themselves on social media. Like Chad said, his personal stake is to make sure that none of these guys come home with his daughter. I agree with that. I also agree and also feel my personal stake is making sure that the tags that I get on social media are far few in between. Because as people know, I posted on my Threads profile on social media that if you ever having an encounter with a man who's making you feel uncomfortable, if he's making you feel a certain way, if he's talking to you a certain way, tag us. We'll handle it. We'll roast them. We'll make sure they never show up on social media again. And I can honestly say that since I've started that, I've been getting less and less tags. But when I first started it, it would be like a tag almost every single day, every hour. And that shows you just how many women are being impacted by these red pill men who are showcasing them with disrespect. So if I see that I'm getting tagged less, to me, that's a start. That shows me that more men are starting to become aware that women are not to be fucked with. I don't play around when it comes to the protection of Black women. I've said that and women in general, but specifically Black women, because they don't have that voice and they don't have that protection from us as a whole. As they say, until it's all men, it's all men. So from my perspective, I feel that for me to make sure that we reach out and to get this on a broader scale, we as men have to take accountability. We have to make sure that we're constantly calling out the men who do wrong. And I don't care if you call me a simp. I don't care if you call me a panderer, because realistically, like Chad said, I'm comfortable. All right. I got a hot ass wife, smart wife, a funny wife, someone who makes me genuinely happy, and vice versa. I'm doing this because I'm trying to make sure that men in general change. If you want to change, I'm willing to help. If you're not willing to change, you'll just be a roadkill. The best thing I can possibly say. You can either let me cook and I'll help you out and give you a recipe that will benefit your life, or you can let me cook and I'll end it.
There's nothing else that needs to be said after that.
Nothing else. Well, we are glad that you were able to join us on our very first episode. We didn't even mention the name, but before we wrap it up, I just want to ask him, what is unconscious flyness?
Unconscious flyness is those who do not think about how they move in this world, but they still execute at a high level. It is the peak of, I am comfortable with who I am. I don't have to try so hard. I don't have to think about what I am. I go about and I just am. That's it. That's it.
Well said. Well said. Well, we're glad that you were able to join us on our very first episode of Unconscious Flyness, and we want to hear from you. So if you have any topics that you want us to discuss, if you have anything that you want to comment, if you just want to share your general thoughts in this episode, make sure you comment below. So with that being said, we're going to wrap this episode up. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. For Chad DeShawn, I'm cooking with Pat Lee. Say until the next time we feast. Peace.
Yeah.
We out. Hey there, family. It's Cooking with Pat Lee, and you're listening to the Unconscious Flyness podcast with myself and Chad DeShawn. I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in and listening to episode 1. Now, if you enjoy what we brought to the table, hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to know about upcoming episodes and other content we'll be putting out there. And hey, if you know someone who can benefit from this message, don't forget to share. Word of mouth helps our community grow, and we encourage you to spread the word about the movement. Thanks for listening, stay blessed, and we'll see you on the next episode. Much love.